No, I really did miss the UFC. I gotta say, I missed the UFC when they were on the 6 week break. And what I kept telling myself was, just wait, Jack. Just wait till February 7th. We got Vinicius Oliveira versus Mario Bautista waiting for us. A big Apex, return to the Apex. Some people are excited for these, these numbered events, so to speak. For me, nah, man. I was excited to be back at the Apex. And what an exciting event, because it once again just made me realize how bad the matchmaking of the UFC has been, because they are constantly feeding these like up-and-comers. It has been happening a lot lately where these up-and-comers are losing to these more boring fighters, and we're not getting as much move in the division. Why? Because we're seeing terrible matchmaking. We saw it with Paddy Pimblett against Justin Gaethje. And I'm not even here really just to talk about that. Obviously, I put the title as Jon Jones. I'm going to talk about all sorts of things MMA. Because, look, sometimes, I can't cover these things in video. Sometimes it's like, not big enough for a video. But, hey, these are fun talking points. And we'll talk about the Jon Jones thing, because that was big. There was so much going on this week that I couldn't really double upload it, But yeah, no, once again, we're seeing matchmaking where Vinicius Oliveira paired up against Mario Bautista, which I thought was a weird matchup even from the get-go. And we're seeing literally all of this stuff. We're seeing, like I said, Paddy Pimblett, because of how he was matched up, paired up against guys that were horrible. Like, once he faced up against Justin Gaethje, he wasn't ready. And it's not like Justin Gaethje. Maybe if Paddy had more experience, he could have beaten Gaethje. But I think when the matchmaking is this poor, it's becoming a problem. Let's see. I see Fish Nerds are already here. Shout out to Fish Nerds, my guy. Shout out to you. Thoughts on Ari Emanuel saying that White House card will be 6-7 fights. So this is something I feel like that has been rumored for a while. I did hear this rumor. Even when it was first announced, I heard like, yo, this might not be a lot of fights. And I don't know. I mean, look, I think 6-7 fights, I know it's actually kind of a funny number because I know it's like a meme. But, so now I feel weird saying 6-7 fights. But I mean, look, I actually don't mind it all that much. Yeah, is it shorter than a regular card? Yeah, but I mean, it is at the White House. Like, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of restrictions, and it really matters what the card is. Obviously, if it's a shit card, I'm going to be upset. You know what I'm saying? But if it's 7 bomb fights where it's like, holy shit, like this is UFC 300 level, like where UFC 300, there was pretty much no fluff. Even if it's, slightly better than UFC 300, that would be crazy. I mean, we're hearing, I saw an article that's a 90% chance Ilya and Gaethje is going to be the main event. That would be huge, But at the same time, I do wonder, like, I guess, like I said, we could talk about, it's happening at the White House, right? The American White House. You would think, at least I would think, like Jon Jones Pereira in the UFC's mind, and, maybe, I don't know how much of the White House, what they have to say with it and all this and that. I would think, though, that would be a much more ideal fight. Just because, just because like Jon Jones is an American fighter. He is, let's be honest, he's favored to beat Jon Jones. That's a little bit of a better look. Okay, the American White House event ends with an American winning, but let's be honest, guys, I think that Ilya's going to flatline Gaethje. I don't think the American's going to win that. I think the American's probably going to get knocked out brutally. He didn't really look that good to me against Paddy. That was the thing that was really shocking, is like Gaethje didn't look good, Paddy didn't look good, and to me it's just, these are the many mistakes that we're seeing the UFC make, out of why I actually do kind of sometimes think, like, are we cooked? Is the UFC cooked? I think we're far from it being cooked. Let me put it that way. But my question is, like, I think we're coming to a point, though, is if they keep going down this route, they will get cooked. I don't know if they can keep doing this for 5 years being this lazy. I get it. You're lazy for a little bit. But in 5 years, when all of these guys that are stars that are carrying the company right now, when even guys like Sean O'Malley, are starting to exit, it's like by that time, pretty much everybody we know will be out of the UFC when Sean O'Malley is retiring, right? Most likely. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but more likely than not, who do they have invested in? You know what I'm saying? That's the real threat. Like, that's what I'm worried about. Who do they have invested in? We're seeing already these young prospects, a ton of them fail tonight. Exactly, Vinicius Oliveira, who didn't look good against Mario Bautista, and we saw it against Paddy Pimblett even. Like I said, Paddy Pimblett isn't even that young himself. So Paddy Pimblett, I think, might be cooked. He was supposed to be a big star. I don't know if he'll actually ever be a big star. I mean, he is a big star. I'm not gonna lie to you, he is a big star. But I mean, like, obviously, if it doesn't matter how big of a star you are. If you start losing, you're not going to be a draw. You know what I'm saying? Even McGregor at a certain point, like, he, because I think it's been so long between fights, but like if he kept fighting and lost like 3 fights in a row in like a year and a half, he would probably not sell as well. Like he probably, I don't know. It's hard to tell because McGregor is really one of one in terms of selling and stuff like that, but it probably would be a lot different. What's up, Isaac? He says, hi all, and at Jack. What's up, Isaac? So, I don't know. I mean, and two, I mean, I guess this kind of confirms what we've all been saying, I guess, for a minute, that McGregor isn't going to fight at the White House, probably. Makes sense. I mean, I don't think McGregor is even going to fight this year, So, yeah, guys, this is crazy. But I do worry about the UFC, like I said, with all this matchmaking. And we're seeing the stars leave, Like we have, when the Max Holloway, Sean O'Malley's, I think that Dana White, we heard in his testimony, that's also something that happened this week that we didn't even really talk about on the channel. But Dana White, he said that under oath, Dana White was testifying under oath for that class action lawsuit that the UFC is under right now. And he said basically he doesn't do anything. He doesn't matchmake. He doesn't negotiate. He pretty much has nothing to do with this company. Now, to be honest, I do think that probably Dana White has some sort of say to be like, you know what, this is like the Sphere, for example, is a perfect example. Hey, this is an event. Let's do this. Maybe he says, hey, like, let's try to get this fight on this fight. Like, maybe he has input in terms of like, hey, the matchmakers are in between, let's say, Islam Makhachev. Who should he fight next, Ian Gary or Usman? Maybe he has some sort of say, and maybe he, pushes one way or another. We'll see ultimately, obviously, where they'll go. I really don't know. I think it seems to me that maybe they're lean. I think they really would have went with Usman, but I think it really, thanks to the community, pushed back on this whole Usman versus Islam fight. And look, I don't even know. Like, nobody really, to me, the thing about welterweight, it's so different than even lightweight, where Arman Strickland is just straight up getting fucked over. It's like, there isn't really anybody in the welterweight division, I would say, so deserves it. Ian Gary, I would be interested. I would be interested in Ian Gary fight. At this point, I would be interested in Carlos Praches. I've been seeing him training, and I saw an interview he did, and he was just like, in a fight against Islam, he wouldn't really, I don't know, I forgot what he said. He not that he wouldn't respect him, but, he kind of said like, fighters give him like this like aura, but he's like, look, he's just like a man in front of me. Like, I'm going to beat him. And it was hard, I'm saying, how he said it, but I'm kind of butchering it myself, how he said it. But it definitely made me more interested in the fight. So, we'll see, guys. But yeah, let's get into this Jon Jones thing, I guess, right? And you guys, like I said, could ask anything. Let me know, whatever. Let me know if I'm bugging, Let me know. What do you guys think about the uploads this week, by the way? I mean, it was a bit of a grind this week, huh? A lot of uploads. It was really like, it was fun. It was some good stuff to cover this week. I feel like MMA, there hasn't been a lot of stuff. We talked about the Paddy Pimblett. The first video we made was the Paddy Pimblett. What happened with that? What was the Paddy Pimblett one again? About, his response to the Justin Gaethje stuff. This week has been so long, I don't even remember what that video was. McGregor calling out Mauricio Ruffy, or not really calling out, but Mauricio Ruffy saying that McGregor mentioned him in a conversation with the UFC. So, yeah, I guess calling out. Not like on Twitter or anything, but Ian Gary with flexing on Shavkat, of course, for Shavkat getting injured. That also happened. Rest in peace, Shavkat, man. Hopefully this dude comes back. Deontay Wilder, also his crash out was probably the highlight of my week. And the Ariel Helwani versus MMA Guru stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit. No really update on it, which I'm a bit surprised. I really did think I would be making a video tonight. Or I was even thinking, who knows, maybe part of me was like, should I even make this video at the time? Because I was like, is an update just going to happen right away? No update has even happened yet. So I made a good call there to just get it out. But a lot of people were upset. Some people were upset. There were some people that disagreed. Some people that were hating a little bit in the comment section. It is what it is, guys. I tell it like it is. I can't get mad, I can't really react to, one way or the other. I feel like at the same time, looking at my analytics, looking at my likes, looking at this and that, I'm like, I feel like there's a silent majority, so I feel kind of in comfort knowing that, so it is what it is, guys. Sometimes you can't win them all, as they say, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to give it to you guys true. I know that the people that that are subscribed, the people that tune in for the streams, the people, all y'all are amazing. So that's all I need, So shout out. Let's see. Bro, have you been following this Floyd Mayweather story? Basically said Showtime was paying Al Heyman for the last few fights, and Heyman didn't give him all the money. Oh, shit. I heard about Floyd Mayweather suing Showtime, but I didn't hear about the Al Heyman part. Damn, man. Damn, yo, what the hell? Turn on Al Heyman is crazy, man. That's insane. I heard the McGregor, the McGregor Mayweather fight was part of that as well. I heard that a little bit. I didn't get into the whole thing. Maybe that would have been, if there's more updates on it, maybe I'll make a video on it. I just didn't even think about making a video. But to be fair, like I said, there was so much news this week. There really was a lot of news, So there's some things, like I said, that I wanted to come on here and discuss. What's up, Johnny Monday? My guy, Johnny. What's up? Shout out to Johnny Monday. Like I said, shout out to all of y'all for tuning in. Let's talk about this Jon Jones thing, shall we, though? So, Jon Jones, look, I don't like Jon Jones, but he was done wrong, I will say, in this situation. It does appear, I'm not crying. I'm not here standing up for the guy because fuck Jon Jones anyway. He's a terrible dude, as we've established plenty of times. But it definitely was, a situation where he was definitely, done dirty. And I definitely, if I were Jon Jones, I definitely would be upset, for sure. What happened was, I guess, he had a conversation backstage. It looked like with Joaquin Buckley or something like that. I hope that was. Maybe I should have fact-checked that. But I believe he had a conversation with Joaquin Buckley, but it seemed like a fan was wearing meta glasses, it appears. Well, this is according to Jon Jones himself. He said that. But it also appears that way. He was wearing meta glasses, and in this conversation, Jon Jones reveals that he's been dealing with a really bad hip injury, that he has arthritis as well, and that he actually qualifies for a hip surgery, and he's just pushing through with it. And we've heard this before. A lot of fighters, especially in their later stage, especially fighters that are heavy into the grappling and this and that, they do suffer with like backs, with the knees, and then or even like in this case hips. Like Kamaru Usman is also a great example of a guy who dealt with really bad knees. I don't know if he fixed them. I don't know if he got surgery, but a lot of fighters do wind up holding out on surgery just because it's just, you're not going to be able to train if you get surgery. That's kind of end of the career type stuff. And I guess he's waiting for the end of his career. And it got leaked because this fan was wearing meta glasses. Jon Jones didn't intend for us all to know, but he did post, the fan, I guess, did post it. It went viral, and now Jon Jones, he made a response, and he basically was like, called the fan an asshole. I don't even know if he's a kid, really is, but he called the fan an asshole, and was like, oh, it wasn't supposed to come out, this and that, and now we're in this pickle. So now he's saying that, let me actually find the exact post, or the quote, to say. Let's see. But he gave a quote, I think, to Helen Yee Sports. Let's see. Here it is. He says, I think I could be done. Maybe it's just about doing it right and getting out at a really good time. I don't want to be one of those fighters that win some and lose some. So he kind of alluded to, hey, like, I might be done. He didn't exactly, I don't know if he exactly said, hey, because the injury got leaked, but look, the injury literally got leaked. This is the next day. It's tough because, like I said, like, that's one of those things where you can probably guarantee a lot of fighters are going to be targeting, the hip, going to be, maybe side kicks to the hip. That's going to be very brutal. That's going to be a tough watch. I definitely do think, like, it's tough for Jon Jones because he obviously wanted, especially even fight at the White House. You have a guy in Pereira who's a really dangerous striker, and you also have to wonder his wrestling ability, how he probably is pretty hindered, I'd imagine, in his wrestling. I don't know, at this point Jon Jones probably should retire. I honestly do. I kind of am going to pick Pereira, honestly, if they do fight. At the same time, Jon is bigger, the size is the big question mark in the whole thing, but I don't know, like, Pereira has continued to just do the impossible every single time, so to me it's just like, I feel like I would kind of go with Pereira. Like, how many times does Pereira seem like, oh, he's not going to win? Like, against Magomed Ankalaev. Like, I picked Pereira for both of those ones, but still, I was worried, and it seemed like a tough matchup. even against Adesanya, the first, like, this guy always manages to win. He always manages to land a shot. So I don't know. I feel like Pereira would win, to be honest. And obviously, look, if this was a prime Jon Jones, I'd be picking Jon Jones, guys. I'm just saying because Jon Jones is old, and after finding out about this hip injury on top of that, I don't know. I kind of think that Pereira would win. Pereira, I don't think he would be intimidated by Jon Jones. This guy has a ton of momentum as well. He probably feels like, hey, I'm fucking could beat Jon Jones. He probably does think, he's probably confident himself. And whether that's delusional or not, and Pereira has good takedown defense. I actually kind of would favor it. If it were to be scheduled, I would maybe, I honestly would favor Pereira. If this was maybe 2 years ago, maybe a different story for sure. But I mean, right now, Pereira, his takedown defense looked really good against Magomed as well. And we've seen guys like he hasn't been so easily able to take down guys. Like, guys have defended his takedowns before. He did look good against Stipe, I will say. That was a really good performance. I thought, even though we could all say, yeah, Stipe was old, I was pretty impressed. Let me see what you guys are saying. Goats don't quack. Yeah, exactly. For a minute, I thought I mispronounced quack, but that's exactly what it is. Like, at this point, I'm over the Tom Aspinall thing. He exposed himself. He basically lost to Aspinall. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know Aspinall would have beat him. It's just, it is what it is. Like, I think that his legacy did get stained from that. That's my opinion. I think you can't think of Jon Jones without thinking of his exit at this stage. Maybe the Pereira fight is an opportunity for him to kind of wash that away. It's I don't know. And my question is, would you guys give him credit if he beat Pereira? Because, like, now we're saying, oh, Pereira could beat him. What is it a good, I actually would want to see it. I think it's the fight to make. And why not I just say make it for the White House. Who cares? Jon Jones, yeah. I think he would show up, John. Johnny seems to think that Pereira would kill Jon Jones. I agree with you. Isaac laughing. Dark Light says yes. Isaac says Jon Jones would still wrestle the fuck out of Alex. Yeah, but I don't know. He's got, like I said, the hip, bro. You got to wonder how much the hip is affecting him. And Pereira, bro, he's got good takedown defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when he gets down, guys haven't really been able to do much when they're on the ground. Like, he's a strong dude himself. Like, don't underestimate his grappling. Yeah, Jon Jones has really good grappling, but now that with this hip injury, he's also had that, remember he injured, I think, right, it was like his knee, right, or something with the Stipe fight, wasn't it his knee? And you got to wonder, is there any, kind of leftover hindrance from that as well? It's crazy. Jones would have to take down Alex down. Wait, hold up. I butchered that. Jones would have to take Alex down to beat him. And like Jack is saying, current Jon Jones would struggle to take Pereira down. And I think that Jones' size will make it difficult for Alex to defend takedowns. Jones should just retire, Dark says. So, yeah, my opinion is I agree that the size is definitely the big question mark. That is something that's a big question mark to me. But, guys, Pereira is also a really big dude. Like, Pereira said that, like, cutting to light heavyweight was getting tough. Like, it's becoming to a point where he can't even cut, to light heavyweight. So he's getting big in size himself. So there's a chance that I don't know if they'll be I don't think that'll be the same size. I think Jones will be bigger, but I don't think it'll be to a point where he's going to now just easily take him down. I mean, I still think that his takedown defense is really good. And, guys, he trains with Glover Teixeira. Glover's also really big, especially now. I'm sure he's been a light heavyweight his whole career, cutting to light heavyweight, of course, and I'm sure now he's probably even gotten stronger. I don't know, guys. I think that he is really prepared. He seemed really prepared against Magomed, training with good guys for that. If he was able to defend, I'm sure in those I think probably Magomed has better chance of taking down Alex than Jon Jones does right now. That's a fact. If this was Jon Jones a few years ago, this is a different story. I agree, and I do think that Jon should probably just retire. I actually, you know what? I would want to see the Pereira fight. If I could pick, we're past the Aspinall thing. I don't even care about that. I'm at a stage right now. I think I'd rather see the Pereira fight just because, we all know Aspinall would win, and it does suck for Aspinall, because I wish Aspinall would have gotten that for Aspinall. He waited how long, and now he's getting shitted on, I think, unfairly for this whole eye poke situation. I think that he's getting kind of shitted on for a little unfairly, for sure. And he's kind of gotten screwed, like I said, with the whole Jon Jones thing, waiting. I wish he would have been able to get that win and get that payday, but I would have to say, I would rather Alex where we are, Tom should have made a mask that looks like Jon Jones' ex-wife 1 year ago so that Jones wouldn't have been afraid to fight him. Jones, I don't even know, guys. Jones, like I said, like the fact that people could still be a fan of this guy after he literally just elbowed his wife, like, didn't he like literally like ground and pound in the like, isn't that literally what I'm not even being funny, guys. Like, this is literally what the documents be saying. Alex spars heavyweights all the time, and exactly, that's another thing I was gonna say is he trains with really big dudes. If Tom, that's another thing is Tom was so nice about it. Like that, I was like, if he would have done some shit like, oh look, you're a wife beater, this and that would have, maybe then we could have gotten it, and maybe Jones would have been a little more, let's do it. But I feel like why is Tom such a nice dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a Tom Aspinall fan, but it's like at a certain point, it's like, bro, you're not being just nice. Like, you're letting these people just walk all over you. Like, Jon is disrespecting you in the media, acting like you're like a fanboy, asking for a fight or something. Like, dude, it makes no sense. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think, like I said, guys, I agree. Jones needs to retire. He just needs to retire, guys. He's cooked. Jack, give us your favorite Jon Jones performance that show how great he was. Mine are DC twice, Gustafsson twice, TRT, Belfort, Machida. So mine is definitely Machida, bro. The finish was I love the guillotine finish, but mine that always sticks with me is Shogun, and it just, I don't know why. I feel like that, and that's the Stipe fight reminded me of the Shogun fight, because I just remember watching the Shogun fight with Jones, and it just cringes me out, bro. Like, and I don't really get cringed out at like UFC by like pain that much, you know, but it just was vicious, bro. The knees, the elbows, the ground and pound. It was that's probably my pick. That one I think was like, wow. And you know, like you said, there's obviously the Gustafsson. The first fight was an amazing fight. Just it was a good fight. I guess it wouldn't really show his dominance, but it was a good fight. The Jon, even the DC, the second DC fight, to be honest, I felt like that DC had a lot of success in it. The first DC fight, he looked really good. But also Rashad Evans. Yeah, of course, Rashad Evans. There's one I was just thinking of. There was one I had on the tip of my tongue. I don't remember now, but I would say Shogun. Shogun is the one that I think, if you guys want to see, check out. If you haven't checked out Shogun versus Jon Jones, that was him winning the title, of course. Crazy fight. I also liked the one where he 12-6 elbow the dude and got the DQ. That was probably my favorite Jon Jones performance, to be honest with you guys. His English, Tom, it's Gene problem. Yeah, he's just too nice. Like, dude, come on, like, you know. But like, I feel like, aren't they like known to bust chops? Aren't they known to, you know, talk shit and this and that? Conor McGregor, Paddy Pimblett, you know what I mean? Wasn't Shogun past prime? I saw the fight, but don't know a lot about Shogun. Yeah, no, look, and I'm not saying, and that's what I was about to say, like, you could say a lot about, like, competition, but I'm just saying, like, what do you call, like, I'm just saying, like, it was a dominant, like, it was just a cringe performance, and that's what I'm saying. It reminded me of the Stipe one, which, look, maybe you could say he's out of prime, but it was just a really good performance. I think he deserves credit for it. I look, you know, it was also short notice as well. I look forward to Bully Tom, if he can fix his eyes. John, yeah, I know. Apparently, Tom is saying no more Mr. Nice Guy, so this is going to be, you know, I guess hopefully fixed. But I feel like we've heard this before from Tom. Oh, I'm no more Mr. Nice Guy, and then it's like continuing to be Mr. Nice Guy. So, Jon was my favorite fighter for years until this heavyweight bullshit. Well, me, it was really the whole wife incident, man. It was the, you know, beating his wife type shit. Actually, it really wasn't, to be honest. Like, it was more of, you know, the whole, it was really the heavyweight stuff, but it just also is like, it's just everything with this guy. You know, if you actually look at him, he's just terrible. And that's why I feel like he is, but I'll say this, he is genuinely one of my favorite fighters to watch. He's like one of the worst fighters, but seriously one of my favorite fighters to watch. Like I said, the Stipe fight is actually a good fight to watch. Like, I fuck with that fight. It was a good fight. I thought his performance was really good, even though, yeah, like I actually think that, yeah, I thought that, first of all, Stipe actually didn't look so terrible. Like, I think that Jon Jones just really made him look terrible. And that fight, like I said, I'm a big Jon Jones hater. I criticize Jon Jones all the time. I'm just being honest. Let's hear it. Conor and Paddy doesn't count. Who's Connor and Patty? English people. Matt Hamill. Yeah. No, shout out Jon Jones, Matt Hamill. If you guys want to check out how dominant Jon Jones is, that one's a good one. So tired of hearing about Connor. I got Connor fatigue. You're sick of hearing about Connor. Connor hasn't even fought. You know what I'm saying? Wait till Connor's actually going to fight, if he ever does fight. Lol, me too. Well, Connor at this point, and I agree, guys. Look, I'm not making videos about Connor when it's like, you know, I've been seeing these reports where it's like, it's Dave Feldman from BKFC, that's the president of BKFC. He was like, oh man, like, this is the best we've seen Conor McGregor. It's a completely different Conor McGregor. He's going to church now. And it's like, dude, we've heard this how many times about this shit. Like, he was just hanging out with Mike Tyson looking like he did 5 pounds of coke, you know what I'm saying? And literally Mike Tyson saying that he's never met someone more energetic. Like, you really think that Conor McGregor is, what do you think he's doing? What do you think he's energetic from fucking life? You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I don't think so. Like, that to me, I would not be surprised if he's still doing stuff. Like, would not be surprised if he doesn't wind up fighting this year. It's crazy. You know, I just saw him say that he's like, I think he tweeted today, actually. Let me look this up. But he tweeted, I'm pretty sure. Now I'm talking about him when you're saying, actually, I won't read it because I know that there's Connor fatigue. So now I won't bring it up. But my point is that I agree, because I just think that there's so many headlines when it's like, oh, Connor's changed. It's like, bro, come on. Are we serious here? We hear this all the time. Jack, I've agreed with everything you've said until saying John's being Stipe was quality. No. Stipe was so slow and stiff compared to his prime. My opinion, prime Stipe KOs Jones in 2 rounds. No, I agree with you 1,000%. I wasn't trying to say like it was quality. I was just saying that I feel like that John, obvious. And by the way, I've been saying forever, prime Stipe goes up against even a prime Jon Jones going up to heavyweight. I actually would think that Stipe would win. I agree with you. I've said that 1,000%. I'm not saying that this was Stipe close to his prime. Nowhere near his prime. However, I think that, you know, we expected, at least me, I expected maybe even a worse Stipe being away for 4 years. I felt like that there were some moments where he definitely did look slow, especially when Jon Jones would hit him with that 1-2, and Jon looked really fast. And to be honest, when I rewatched it, I thought Stipe did look worse than when I first watched it. However, because I rewatched it, I think like a month ago or 2 months ago or so recently, just because I was curious, I think, because like I said, look, I actually do like watching Jon Jones's fights. Like I'll sit back and watch a Jon Jones fight as much as I'll shit talk the guy, because he is like fighter, one of the best fighters to watch in my opinion, and I think like most entertaining, one of the most entertaining. I mean, there's a few of them that aren't so entertaining, but for most of them are pretty quality fights, to be honest. Maybe just a few kind of near the end. Yeah, I guess near the end. Let me see. Let me know, guys, if the stream is also... I don't know. The stream looks like it's bugging a little bit. I don't know why, but... Sup, I watch a lot of your videos, but this is the first time joining live. Shout out to you, Steph Gauthier. Shout out. Thank you, bro. Thank you for tapping in. I appreciate you always watching the videos and appreciate you showing love. So, shout out to you and congrats on the first stream. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully this quality of the stream didn't drop or whatever the hell, but you guys could let me know, I guess. I don't think so. I don't think. But yeah, no, guys, so I wasn't trying to say that Stipe had a quality win or anything like that, but, you know, I'm sorry, not Stipe had a quality win, that Stipe was a quality win against Jon Jones, but, you know, to me, I don't know. I feel like I just felt like it was a good fight, and I think that Stipe didn't look as bad as we all thought he was going to. That's all I meant. But look, definitely not like a, you know, I'm not saying that Jon's the GOAT or anything with that one in terms of the heavyweight. I don't know. Is Jon Jones a heavyweight GOAT? He could have probably gone down as one, but I think he would have lost to Aspinall. I think Aspinall, you know, his career is such on hold that it feels weird saying this, but I do still kind of believe when it's all said and done, he will go down as the greatest heavyweight of all time. I think that this whole what do you call it? And let me know, guys, if is there like a, I'm not delayed or something, right? Or this is still okay quality, right? Let me know in the chat. But what do you call it? What was I just saying about Jon Jones? Oh, no, about Tom Aspinall. I was going to say, I still believe when it's all said and done that I do think that Aspinall could go down as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I do think, you know, I know that obviously it didn't look so good against Sergey, but I still think, part of the game plan was, hey, let's, tire out Cyril Gane, let's pressure him, this and that. So, I think that we can't really judge based on one round. And also, like, you know what? I know, look, I heard about Conor fatigue. This isn't exactly just about Conor. This is about Dustin Poirier, and this kind of goes with the Aspinall thing. So you can't judge one round happened, ended in an eye poke. Tom Aspinall got his eye poked by Cyril Gane. I feel like we can't judge that fight. Same way that I feel like we can't judge Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 3. I've been saying this for years. People, now this is going to be a really hot take, and I want you guys to, because I know a lot of people might disagree with me, so let me know, seriously, in the chat. I want to know what you guys think, because I always am curious to hear what you guys think about this. But in my opinion, I think that Conor McGregor, gets written off in that Dustin Poirier, the third fight. Now, more likely than not, I see Isaac say the screen freezes for a split second. I went over to my phone data. It stayed the same. Okay, I don't know. So y'all let me know in the chat. Is that just him? I don't know if he's saying that his data was whack and that was why, but hopefully it's good. Hopefully. So a lot of people make this judgment about Conor McGregor right from the third fight, and it's like, I personally think that I feel like I think that maybe, I don't even know. I'm not even going to sit here and say that I think Dustin Poirier would have won, because I know a lot of people say, oh, Dustin Poirier would have won this, that. I'm not even saying that. I don't even think that's necessarily true, that Dustin Poirier would have won. I think that there's a chance, you never know, that early in round 2, we saw against Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley, where Sean O'Malley just knocks out Aljamain Sterling in the second round after losing the first. Like, we see that happen, and Conor has power, especially then he had power. He was a lot better then than he is now, of course. So you never know, and it's like, for that to end in a leg break, and for, Dustin Poirier to this day to be flexing it, it's just embarrassing. You want to flex the second fight, go ahead. It just, to me, like, come on, dude. That's my opinion. Aspinall is a nightmare matchup for Jones. Jones always struggled against guys his size with boxing, especially if Tom mixed in wrestling. And that's 1,000% correct. That's why I agree with you about Stipe too, is like, I think Jones would struggle against good boxers, guys that would have good pressure, good power, that, could also wrestle. That's a tough matchup for Jon Jones, because he has, no option. What is Jones's injury? So Jon Jones had a, what do you call it? He has apparently a hip injury. He has like arthritis in his hip, and that is apparently hindering his career. I'm gonna say, I think maybe this could possibly fix the data problems, if hopefully the data problems don't continue, but we'll see. If you watch Tom versus Cyril and Cyril in slow motion, Cyril, which obviously we mean Cyril, Cyril chest every single time right before he lands a good exchange. Cyril Gane is cheating ass motherfucker. I'm confused though. If you watch Tom versus Cyril is in slow motion, Cyril chest every time. I don't know what that means, but every time right before he lands a good exchange. So, what, he can't breathe or something? I'm confused. Is it scripted, question mark? Is that what we're saying? I don't know. But yeah, no, apparently Jon Jones has an injured hip. So we'll see, guys. And also another fight on the card, speaking of the heavyweight division, was Jailton Almeida and, what is that? Runia, what's that guy's name? Ramzan Kuniev? Yeah, Ramzan Kuniev. Oh, no, Rizvan Kuniev. Shout out to him for winning against Jailton Almeida. This is the state of the heavyweight division. These are the guys that we got to look forward to. We are cooked. Cyril cheat every single time right before he had a good exchange. Oh, yeah, no, exactly. Well, I don't know if he cheated every single time. I mean, but he always does, like, extend his eyes. His fingers and then eye pokes happen. You know what I'm saying? And, like, it did suck. Look, I was on stream when it happened, dude. That was one of the toughest experiences of my life, man. I'm on stream. We were on stream for, like, I don't know how long, like 6 hours. I don't know. Maybe I'm dragging it. Maybe it was shorter than that. We were on stream for a minute, dog. And, I was really hyped. The card wasn't even such a good card. I was hyped for this main event. It was a bunch of decisions. It was a brutal card, but I was really excited for this main event. all for it to end like that. It was brutal, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It was really, really tough, and the morale was low. You know what I'm saying, in that stream? The morale was very low. We were all feeling down, but here we are now, you know? Here we are. That's just how it be, man. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, hopefully we can get that Ciryl Gane and Tom Aspinall fight rebooked. Hopefully soon. I mean, the guy, like I said, Aspinall has gotten screwed through the whole thing. It's insane. Let me see what other MMA news is out there right now that we could talk about. Or you could put in anything you guys want in the chat. Anything at all. Let's see, Marab. No, Marab, nothing big with Marab. There's something I wanted to talk about. What do you guys think about Ian Gary? He says, here's Ian Gary's matchmaking for the welterweight division. Islam Makhachev versus Ian Gary, of course. So he's saying he should fight Islam, which, I mean, I don't hate it. Like, I'm not totally against it. I wasn't so impressed with the performance against Bilal. Thought it was all right, you know. Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales. That's a good fight. I don't mind it. And to me, I feel like both Carlos Prates and Michael Morales do need like one more win. That's why I wasn't so... I know everyone was up in arms about Kamaru Usman versus Islam. I would rather Ian Gary versus Islam, I think. But I would actually rather... My opinion is, my new pick is Michael Morales versus Islam Makhachev would be my pick. Ian Gary fought Carlos Prates. That's a funny, but that's the problem. So maybe do Ian Gary versus Kamaru Usman and Carlos Prates versus Jack Della Maddalena. But let me continue telling you guys, this is Ian Gary. That was my pick. I think I would do. Here's what I would do. Islam versus Michael Morales. You guys let me know, and then I'll tell you Ian Gary. Islam versus Michael Morales. Ian Gary versus Kamaru Usman. I think that would be good, and probably Ian Gary would win that one, and that's probably safe for the UFC. Carlos Prates then versus Jack Della Maddalena, which would be a dope fight. That'd be a great fight, which I hear they're planning to do or something like that. I think Carlos Prates just called him out, so Carlos wants that fight. If they do that fight, I think that is a pretty big indicator that it probably will be Michael Morales. So maybe they are in between. It seems like to me it's in between Usman, Gary, and Morales. But maybe it's really just against Gary and Usman, because I don't know. I hope Morales isn't out of that discussion. You know, he did knock out Sean Brady. Who do you guys think? What's up, John Dong? I just see your chat. What's up? Heavyweight is dog shit right now. I agree. I have mixed emotions about Tom and Gane. I expected Tom to run through Gane. I don't know, guys. Like I said, I do think a little bit was his, you know, you got to consider what was his game plan. You know, I think that Ciryl Gane was probably going to wind up slowing down. I actually didn't mind all the things that Aspinall had. Yeah, Aspinall got, you know, jabbed up, and it's because, you know, I think that Ciryl Gane has a really good jab. It's easy to get jabbed up by him. How he throws the jab itself is actually, like, technically different, actually. That's a whole conversation for another day, or we could even get into it if you guys want, but it's even different. So it's even tough. Like, he throws it really good where it could really cut you and really bruise you up and break a nose or make your nose bleed. So I don't really think that said to me, oh, like, look, especially watching it back, it's not like, oh, wow, you know? It's not like, what do you call it? Gane was immediately going to win. The only time heavyweight has been worse was when Tim Sylvia was the champ. I don't even know at this point. Maybe Tim Sylvia could probably beat some dudes, honestly. Sub Jong Dong says, what's up? How did you think Payne Taba versus Mario Bautista goes? Ooh, that would be interesting. I think they should do that one next. That's actually really good matchmaking. I don't know. But at the same time, like, I think they should do Payton versus Marlon Vera. Like I said, like, build up these prospects. Give them practice matchups, man. You know, like, I feel like Marlon Vera isn't like a total tin can. I think that's a winnable matchup for Payne Talbot. He probably will win, but he's not like a tin can. You know, I think that's another striker. It'll keep him on his toes, and you maybe could learn from that matchup. That's a guy who you're probably going to go long with. He's a guy that, he's been known to get finishes, maybe even make it 5 rounds. That would be really interesting and really be a test for Peyton Talbot. And that's what I think they got to do. They got to make matchups where it's like, don't make the matchups make sense in their career. It's like you're giving them cans. It's like ridiculous cans, and then boom, here's a guy that like Paddy Pimblett fights cans and fights Gaethje, who look, Gaethje isn't even at his best, but Gaethje is, I was worried going into it. I said to you guys, hey, you could knock out Paddy for all you know. Like, I was seeing that. And it just doesn't make sense. You're giving him cans and all of a sudden giving a guy who's, been at the top of the lightweight division for how long? It doesn't make sense. I'd rather see Usman versus Islam personally. So that's a hot take. I actually am not, like I said, I'm not a huge, that's what I was going to say. I'm not a huge hater of it. And I do want to get into Ian Gary's thing. I keep teasing that, my bad guys. But I'm not a huge hater on it just because there isn't an obvious one. I do wish, like I said, Michael Morales, Carlos Prates, I think they need one more win. Maybe they fight each other if it is Usman versus Islam. We also need, like I said, Ian Gary. He's someone that I could see them justify. I think if it's not Usman, well, Usman doesn't really, deserve it in my opinion, but Ian Gary, I think that he is probably the most deserving on paper, but I don't know. Ian Gary real quick, and then I want to read what Johnny Monday said. Ian Gary said, Islam versus Ian Gary, of course. Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales, which I like a lot. That's a really dope fight that I'm sure will happen down the road. There's a lot of cool welterweights, I will say. Welterweight's one of those divisions where we are seeing these young guys naturally come up. They're naturally just really good. You know what I'm saying? You're just getting lucky because these guys are awesome, good. And awesome, too, I'm saying, in the way that their fights are amazing. Jack Dillon Maddalena versus Kamaru Usman. I like that one. And that one is, I will say that these matchups aren't terrible. However, like I said, I just would rather Michael Morales versus Ian Gary. And then you're not going to do Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates again. Doesn't make sense. Jack, what are your thoughts on Tuivasa spending his time away from the spot, drinking and chilling, his words, and getting overweight while on a 5-fight losing streak? Well, I mean, it's probably, like I said, at this point, Tai Tuivasa, the guy is cooked. Let's be real. There's nothing saving him. I'm not exactly shocked. I'm not really, I'm just, it's ridiculous, obviously, it is just dumb. It's ridiculous. The fact that, this is happening, but it just doesn't even shock me anymore. The heavyweight division is so cooked in general. It's all right, I'm not up in arms about it only because I'm not shocked at this point. It's dude, he, I don't know, is he even, he's not even, so big of a superstar, right? Where this is a thing. It says, yeah, so Dark says, yeah, that's, let me read that one second. I'm going to read actually Johnny Monday because it's about Tai Tuivasa. And Jack, give us your thoughts on Tai Tuivasa having potentially as an athlete, but obviously lacking discipline. When he first came to the UFC, I called him becoming champ because of his power and speed. Yeah, and honestly, look, even against, what's that guy's name? The dude he just fought. And why am I blanking on his name? Talson Teixeira. When he fought Talson Teixeira, that was a matchup where he could have lost early. He showed he had a chin. You know what I'm saying? He showed that he had also, he didn't have great cardio, but, he did last the 3 rounds and did, manage to hurt him in the 3rd round. So, there's that to be said. So there is potential there, but he's just not disciplined. And obviously, look, at a certain point, it's how much does he want it? Clearly he doesn't want it, so it's not going to happen. Dark says, yeah, that's what I mean. No one has really made a name for themselves enough. I think Usman past title reign deserves respect and consideration. Yeah, and my thing is, look, he beat Joaquin Buckley, who most people thought he was going to get knocked out by Joaquin Buckley. It was a shock that he was able to beat him. I don't hate giving Usman a title shot all that much. I understand why people would be a little more outraged. I think that it's not this. I don't think it's comparable to Stipe versus Jones, only because Stipe was coming off of losses, and even then he hadn't fought in 4 years. Usman fought less than a year ago. You know what I'm saying? He fought sooner than Ilia Topuria fought, I believe. I'm pretty sure on that, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Actually, no, I'm wrong on that. He fought a little earlier I think like a week or two earlier than Topuria. But it's like the same time, guys. It's not like a crazy time difference. So who knows? Even that could be a decent main event for the White House. Islam versus Kamaru. Maybe they wind up doing that. But although I I think Merab said they don't want Russians. How do you think Fluffy versus Strickland will go? I'm hyped for it. Wish it was next week. Yeah, no, actually, I'm really hyped for that one too. And that's what I was saying. Like, I will give the UFC this. It does seem like that we are getting buffs in fight nights, but I do think that we are now seeing the pay-per-view suffer. Will that continue? Who knows? Maybe this is, sometimes there is just slumps of pay-per-views where it's like, okay, this is decent, and then we get good pay-per-views. So it's kind of tough to say, are we in that era, or did they just put all the good cards as fight nights? Like, we're going to go, so I'm really excited for Adesanya versus Pyfer. Like I said, I'll probably stream after the fight night with Strickland. And I'll probably stream after the Adesanya one, because those are both two interesting matchups that I'm excited to see. But how do I think it will go? I was thinking about it today because they were playing the promo. I don't know. It's tough because Strickland apparently has good wrestling, but I don't know. I'm kind of feeling Fluffy, to be honest. I don't know. I kind of have a feeling Fluffy is going to win that one, but I don't know. But Strickland also has some good defense. We've heard about it, especially more than even seen it. He didn't really get too controlled by DDP. So, was that his last fight, the DDP fight? Wow. He hasn't fought in a minute, right? I love Buckley. I'm in his comments all the time. I love Buckley too. Shout out to Walking Buckley. I had a bet, one of those bets where you could bet who's going to be the champ at the end of the year. Last year that Buckley was going to be the champ at the end of this year. I believed in him. Obviously, it didn't wind up happening. He lost to Usman in June, and that crushed everything. But I did believe in him. I don't know. Now it's like, where is he? I don't really see him as active. It makes me question it a little more, but if he maybe has a little more activity, you never know. I did believe him at one point, though. Fluffy versus Strickland going to be good if it's Fluffy just to win. Same. Yeah, I kind of am favoring Fluffy a little bit. It's going to be exciting. Like I said, the fight nights are getting good. Adesanya Pyfer is a good fight night, too. I like the storyline even going into that. Like, it's like Joe Pyfer, he's been hyped up by Dana White, and Adesanya, this is a dangerous matchup for him. The guy has power. It seems like Adesanya kind of felt a little disrespected by this matchup. I think kind of felt like, hey, why can't I get a Strickland rematch? Why can't I get a big matchup? Why? It's kind of clear what the UFC is doing, that they're kind of trying to build Pyfer's name off Adesanya, and I think Adesanya kind of clearly recognizes that when he's in interviews talking about it, and what do you call it? I think that he's upset about it, and maybe that'll be added as fuel to this. I think Strickland backs off the gas too much during high pressure fights. I don't know though. Is this a high pressure fight for him though? I don't know, but even so, even if it's pressure, like, I don't think he can pressure just because of the takedown. You know what I'm saying? I think that Fluffy is going to, really be initiating grappling, and that's going to make it tough for Strickland to really engage. And I think that might shut down a lot of weapons, like the teep, maybe even, that Strickland would have otherwise. And I think that'll be kind of a slow breakdown and, kind of an overload of things coming at him. I think it'll be Fluffy by maybe submission, or decision maybe. I watch Izzy's channel a lot too. Izzy gave Joe props though. Yeah, I'm not saying that he's saying that, oh, Joe is shit, but it's obvious like Joe, is he's not necessarily, it's not offense to Joe. It's just that obviously I think he probably wanted, like, look, Strickland does something for Adesanya's legacy, he can avenge that loss. Joe Pyfer, he could beat Joe Pyfer, and maybe Pyfer isn't as good as everyone says, but this is probably the UFC, one of those matchups where the UFC is like, hey, let's build this guy, Joe Pyfer, off Adesanya's name. It's nothing personal, I don't think, to Adesanya at all. It's nothing personal to Joe Pyfer at all from Adesanya, but I just think that he probably, he recognizes what it is. That's what I think, judging from what he says. I think he recognizes, he's pretty much, I think, said it outright, so... But look, you could still like Joe. It's just, he could still have respect for Joe, and it sounds like he has respect for Joe. I think I heard him say that as well. But like I said, this is clearly, I think UFC, they're it's not like they're giving him like a rematch or a Legends type fight or a winnable, this is, hey, we're giving you a young guy, I want to see Izzy win. Izzy being Poatan was epic AF. I felt bad, man, after seeing Izzy lose that last fight against Nasruddin Imavov. Man, that was tough because it's like, wow. I don't know, though. Izzy, I think it's totally a winnable matchup. I think that Joe Pyfer, I talked about it when the matchup was made. I think that this is another one of those examples where maybe they're feeding one of these young prospects too soon to Izzy. Look, Izzy didn't look terrible against Imavov, you know. He got knocked down in the second round, but there were some moments where he actually looked decent. And you got to wonder his chin, you know, he did take a year off, which, you know, it seems to me like we've seen these fighters, they get knocked out, they take a year off. It seems like he's really showing up to these fights 100% and on his terms now. So that could probably help him. You a night owl, ain't you, Jack? Yeah, I guess you could say so. I mean, it's only 12:21. I mean, you know, this is this ain't what am I, grandma going to bed before midnight? I mean, you know, I feel like this is some good, but I am a night owl. I'm definitely more of a night owl than a morning owl, or a morning, what is that, a morning bird type shit, you know. But there it is feel good waking up in the morning being like, you know what, I get to do my work, but that's not me, you know, type shit. I'm like in the cave, you know, like Batman type. But yeah. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I think I said these fight night matchups, they've been getting good. Let me actually take a look. We got Strickland Hernandez, of course. Moreno versus Kavanaugh is another good one, actually. You know, Marlon Vera's fighting David Martinez. So he has a fight coming up, so I don't know if they'll actually do that one, I guess, with what's his face? With Peyton Talbot. Well, finally, the Discord option is at more yes than no. Let's get more views and enforce another 6 hours. Yeah, I mean, look, if there's more views in here, then I'll be going for another 6 hours, but I don't think so. I don't think we're going to be in here for another 6 hours. Jack, does Prime Adesanya belong in top 5 ever? 185, not the GOAT question with 5. Not the GOAT question with title defenses and everything, but just who would it be who? Oh, not okay. Okay. I think so. I mean, look, he beat a lot of people, but I mean, I know a lot of people, like, even Whitaker alone is really good, like, good wins there. He beat Pereira, who obviously, look, maybe it was because of the weight cut. But he fought he went up against Jan Blachowicz, undersized, it seemed, and yeah, he lost that fight, but there were some good moments, and look, Jan Blachowicz has proven to be good himself. He's gotten halted with a lot of injury stuff, but he's kind of shown to be good. Look at his fight with Magomed Ankalaev. Although Magomed Ankalaev maybe isn't as good as some people thought. I don't mind. I don't understand the matchmaking behind Luque versus Dawkins. Damn, they made that fight. When is that happening? When is it happening, guys? Is it happening at 26? Yeah, I don't know, guys. Like I said, I think the matchmaking has been really cooked lately. I don't know who's behind this stuff. Is the main event for March 14th really Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallos? I'm excited for Movsar versus Lerone Murphy in a bad card with Michael Venom Page on there too on their card. That's not a bad one. That's what I'm saying. Like, their fight nights are getting good. I want to see Dawkins versus Ikram. I go back and forth with having Adesanya in my top. Oh yeah, I didn't answer that. My bad. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, I think he deserves a spot, to be honest. Top 5, I feel like, is fair, you know. I feel like he definitely was very skillful, you know. He had good takedown defense. He had great striking, obviously, one of the better strikers. Like I said, just the fact he was able to hang with Pereira, you know, is a testament to how good his striking was, because I genuinely think Pereira might be the best striker ever in the UFC, period. If you actually look at it, even with his power, with the technical ability, with the reflexes, all of it is, great. His IQ. I'm not a big Izzy fan, but he was really good. But I think prime Izzy would have lost to guy blanket style wrestling. Well, I do wonder, like, how would he have done against some of the guys coming up now, like Nasruddin Imavov, obviously Khamzat Chimaev. And who knows where Khamzat Chimaev will be in that top 5 discussion if we're going to talk about top 5 middleweights of all time. Luke, or even Drexler Duplessis in both their primes, who knows? Luke is fucking so done. When is that happening, by the way, guys? Why are y'all upset with this one, though? Like, I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy, Like, I mean, I understand being like... Oh, damn, but is that middleweight? Is crazy. I just realized that. Okay, so fucking done. Yo, deadass. Guy was a fucking typo. Oh. Okay. Yeah, no, I do wonder, though, like, how Izzy would have done against guys now, with better wrestling and stuff, like, I feel like there's, more wrestlers in 185 than there was when he was champ. Yeah, that is a confusing matchup, but the UFC matchmaking lately, I don't know. I think that they've been so focused. Like I said, it just seems to be like quantity over quality at this point. We need to fill so many cards. We need to fill these cards. Just desperation, like, oh, who cares? Let's just get a book. Let's not actually think about what the matchmaking will lead to. What's the purpose of matchmaking? The rankings don't matter. None of this matters. There's in the lightweight division alone, there's 3 belts. 2 of them are pretty much meaningless. In there, we have Max Holloway, who lost the champ, who's the BMF, which even the idea of the BMF doesn't even make sense. Given that Topuria is a qualifier for the BMF and he's beaten the BMF, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get the whole BMF is supposed to be, oh yeah, you're a, like a badass respected fighter, but I feel like Ilya is the most badass respected fighter in the division. He literally came up a weight class, fought not the champ, but fought Oliveira, who is one of the greatest lightweights of all time, in my opinion. Maybe, probably not I would say Islam's probably the greatest right now, even though he moved up, but just given the legacy that he had, that's going to be tough to beat. But even Oliveira, I mean, look, he's got some wins. If he would have beaten Topuria, maybe, and would have gotten a few wins, maybe he could have challenged it a little bit, but either way, like I'm saying, he beat one of the greats is one of my points, went up a weight class. Like, come on, he's the badass respected fighter. Let's be honest, Let's just be honest. So yeah, no, I don't remember why I said that, but oh no, yeah. So now we're in this situation where it's like, and now we have an interim title with Justin Gaethje, where it's like, dude, we know Gaethje is gonna lose to Ilya, okay? If he beats Ilya, that would be great. If he beats Ilya, I probably would not watch UFC anymore. You guys would actually see me rage. I would just rage, so fucking hard. Like, I'd be like, yeah, we're cooked as UFC fans. We just one of the biggest stars that we have. That is like, he is holding out for the future of the UFC. If he goes, I mean, who else do we have? Pereira, who's on the verge of retirement. Jon Jones, who's all but retired at this point. Who else do we got? McGregor, who's all but retired at this point. Who do we got after that? Poirier was up there. Poirier is retired now. Gaethje's on his way out. Maybe Gaethje will be a star from beating Topuria, but he'll be on his way out himself. And Patty just lost. Ilya lost. And it comes off to like, damn, like the bests are leaving. Like, especially with the lightweight division. Lightweights from, like 2018. I mean, a lot of them are still at the top. Poirier retired at the top. He lost to Max Holloway, but Max Holloway, that's no shame to lose to him. He's like obviously one of the better people in the division. Justin Gaethje's also up there still. Holloway's up. I know Holloway wasn't a lightweight, but he was, in talks to move to fight for the belt against Khabib and stuff like that. So even though he fought for the interim title too, of course. So it's just like we're not really evolving the lightweight division, and if that were to happen, that Topuria were to lose to Gaethje, it would I think that would really hurt the UFC, hurt us fans, because it's just like we need these things to naturally evolve. And I'm not a big Justin Gaethje fan, and maybe that's why I'm saying this, but it just is what it is. You need these things to naturally evolve, and it basically would suck if that did not happen. Essentially, I'm gonna wrap this up soon, so let me know any questions you guys got before we wrap this up, because like I said, I'm willing to talk about anything, guys. As you guys know, go check out the podcast, and Mic Check podcast that I do. It's on YouTube. New episode will be on Spotify soon. So go check it out, or go check it out on Instagram at themiccheck.nyc, or on what else is it on? Well, it's just on YouTube, TikTok, the Instagram, all that stuff. So you guys can go check it out. That's just a little different content and all this and that. So fun stuff there. Definitely, I think it's stuff you guys would enjoy. Just a little more extra stuff, and all that. So, I'll let you guys ask whatever. Like I said. As far as the channel goes for this week, definitely going to be a lot. Like I said, anytime there's news, I've been posting a lot of times around 11 to 12 p.m. So, 12 a.m. Sorry, 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Around this time, literally like around this time period, from like an hour before to this time, any of this time. So, what do you call it? So you guys can so I'll just be uploading a bunch of stuff there throughout the week around that time, and a lot of drama, and covering a lot of the MMA news topics and all of that. So, are you on PS5 platform? Jokes. Shout out to you, Isaac, man. You're a comedian, bro. Shout out to you, bro. You didn't even answer my DM, so you don't even know I DM'd you about it. So, joke's on you. You're actually the one with jokes, because you would have been saw. Yeah, guys. So, that seems to be it. Remember my hot take that all sports doesn't evolve. Maybe Gaethje will shock you and leg kick Ilya to death. Who would have won, Prime Dan Henderson versus Prime Adesanya? Well, I don't know. It's tough, because especially when you look at he was getting rocked in the whole, and I feel like Adesanya could be vulnerable to shots and stuff like that at times. Like sometimes he could be a little, but at other times though, like in the Pereira fight, his head movement was slick. It's tough to say. It really is tough to say. I think I know your take about sports that it doesn't evolve. It's tough. I think it's tough to say. Like I'm afraid that you might be right, is what I'm trying to say. I'm afraid that you might wind up being right, that there isn't enough evolution to keep. But here's the thing: when the sport doesn't evolve, we'll have problems. That's when issues will arise. So if that's correct, I think it's going to be a problem. It needs to evolve, I think, and if it doesn't, that's an issue. Like I definitely think there's an evolution. I guess, and by the way, the sport has evolved, period. But the question is, have we finished evolving? And part of that is to wonder, our kids, teenagers, let's say in the United States, are they saying, hey, do I want to be UFC athletes, or do I want to be basketball players? How many of them are pouring energy into maybe like another sport, like basketball, football, something like this, baseball even, especially in the United States, where it's like those are sports where it's hard to get into, yeah, but it's like, dude, you're gonna get paid way more. Like in the UFC, like people aren't dying to be UFC fighters. There isn't a big, I could be this guy and be a big payday. Like Conor McGregor is the only guy in the sport, and if you follow MMA or have interest in being a UFC fighter, you're gonna know that, because you're going to just be into the sport and know how bad the pay is. You have to have a really strong love for it. So I think a lot of it is the UFC. I mean, the fact that Hunter Campbell said on and under oath that they couldn't sign Rico Verhoeven because basically he chose boxing because the UFC didn't offer. Don't let it be sugarcoated. It's not that the UFC, oh, well, we just couldn't come to. No, they didn't make a deal because they probably didn't offer him a good amount of money. They probably offered him a joke offer. Clearly, why not give this guy a good payday? Why not give him money? You know what I'm saying? He would be, look what happened with Pereira. You know what I'm saying? And even if you want to give him money and say, hey, look, you better win these fights, though. Look, you lose against Derek Lewis, yeah, we're getting cut, bud. We don't got fucking time for that. We're serious here. And look, I don't know what he was asking for. I'm not saying give him $60 million or fucking give him $20 million. I'm not saying giving him even like $10 million or $5 million. I'm not saying any of that. I don't know, $1 million. I don't even know how the business would be. But is that even so much to say, hey, we'll give you $1 million a fight? You know what I'm saying? Maybe give him $800K a fight, $700K a fight. Would that be crazy? I don't think that's that crazy for him. $450K to win, $450K to show. You know what I'm saying? That is right there. That I think is a suffice deal. But maybe they offered him that, to be honest. That sounds like a deal they would probably offer. But, I think why not just give him $1 million? It's tough to say. At Johnny Monday, I'd say Izzy would take it. I think so as well. But I don't know. It's tough to say just because obviously Henda's got power, so you never know. But yeah, guys, I think we'll wrap it up. And like I said, more videos are going to be on the channel. Check out the mic check. Check it out. There's always content coming up. Isaac, you may be right. What a great fight. It would be a good fight. It would be a good fight. Kind of like Kelvin Gastelum, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's good to talk to you guys, as always. I love chatting it up with you. Love talking to you guys on the streams. Make sure you guys join the Discord link in the description. Didn't bother opening it up this time just because also I was having issues midstream about my connection. I don't know what's going on, so maybe we got to upgrade the Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on, guys. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Hope you guys enjoyed the channel. The videos this week have been popping off, so let me know. Is there a topic you guys want? Make sure you guys also, the community page, you guys can post in the community page too. So, and you guys can comment under my posts. I've been posting updates there about, we're going to be streaming, new video, this. Follow me on Twitter as well. That's also in the link in the description. That's a huge place where I am to give updates, to talk about stuff. So, yeah, you guys can check all those things out. And, yeah, I guess we'll call it out. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Johnny Monday. Thank you, John Thong. Thank you, Isaac. Who else is here? Dark, of course, Dark Light, Delirium. Delirium, Dark Light Delirium. I'm actually subscribed to Dark Light Delirium. I don't know if Dark Light knows that, but I always get his notifications. Shout out to Dark Light. Fish Nerds as well. I don't know if he did, but he's always here. He's always supporting the channel. Thank you all, guys. Love you all. Shout out to that person. I think it was Steph something that said that they watch the show, that they watch the videos a lot, but this is the first time they're watching the live. So shout out to you if you're still here. Appreciate the support as always. Appreciate all y'all. Appreciate all the love you guys give. And yeah, guys, more videos to come. And hopefully we don't piss off more MMA Guru fans this week. So we'll see you guys. Love you all. Peace out. And we out of here. All right, now I'm going to do some cocaine. All right, we're out now.